Now, for decades, Britain has been dealing with immigration, but for one part of the UK, it is a relatively new experience. Northern Ireland is only now beginning to see migrant communities, and they are mainly making working-class areas their home. And that is causing tensions within the wider community. GB News' Northern Ireland reporter Dougie Beattie has this report.
At the end of April 2023, Ireland's immigration was up by 31%. And over a decade, Northern Ireland's has doubled, with South Belfast being the most diverse. Tracy Kelly is a DUP Belfast City Councillor who deals with the issues in this area on a daily basis.
Over the last few years, it's changed dramatically. I've grown up in this community and I've seen a massive change, especially with regards to our schools and our houses and doctors' appointments, etc. Communities are really struggling with these issues, and I'd say over the last 3 to 4 years, especially since COVID, it's got dramatically worse.
Many in these housing estates depend on family support, with up to 4 generations living within streets of one another. Waiting lists for social housing in South Belfast is now over 2,500. Some immigrants that have already been housed in contracted units is over 1,000.
We have working class communities like Sandy Row, like the Donegal Pass, who are blending in with others who are coming here to work and live and mix. But there is also an issue when there's too many people who can't get housed. That seems to be the main issue that I deal with. When people in their own community who've been born and reared here have to move away because there's a lack of housing, that causes a wee bit of resentment, and unfortunately sometimes that resentment is going to people who have migrated here.
Given Northern Ireland's troubled past, the conversation around immigration was never on the agenda. But when you're dealing with communities that are still struggling with their own history, identity and culture, and even global alliances, is it wise to introduce those that are seeking a new way of life with their own culture and traditions to working class and post-conflict areas? Takura Makoni represents the African community of Northern Ireland.
I would presume mostly 99% of asylum seekers or migrants and refugees coming to this part of the world would have very little knowledge about the internal dynamics in Northern Ireland. So you find out it's almost like you're thrown in the deep water. To have the cognizance to say, here, I need to pick up that I'm living on a peace line, and these guys don't like those guys, and maybe these guys can tolerate me and those ones won't. You don't have any idea of that. It'll take you up to 10 years to get a real sense of that, because remember, you're focused on trying to rebuild your life.
To avoid further tensions, should government be looking at the placement of those refugees and migrants? Dougie Beattie, GB News, South Belfast.